The autumn wind whipped down Nashville's Music Row, carrying the faint strum of a guitar from a nearby bar. It was a crisp afternoon, the sun dipping low, casting a golden glow over the whitewashed buildings. Leaves skittered across the sidewalk, crunching underfoot. Outside the Pick and Porch coffee shop, Clint Eastwood sat on a weathered wooden bench, his denim jacket loose over broad shoulders. At 94, his face was a map of hard-earned lines, but those eyes, sharp, steady, still held that old fire. Sunglasses rested low on his nose as he sipped a black coffee, steam curling in the cool air. He was in town for a meeting with a film producer, something about a country music biopic. Nashville felt right for it. Passers-by stole glances, whispering, "That's gotta be him," but no one dared approach. Across the street, Travis Boone stood hunched in a tattered coat, its frayed hem flapping like a ghost of better days. At 48, he looked a decade older, dark hair matted, face hollowed by hunger and despair. In his scarred hands, he gripped a cardboard sign, the words scrawled in fading marker. "Need help, God bless." Once, Travis had been somebody, a contractor who built cedar homes in the hills outside Nashville, solid and proud. The recession hit hard, jobs vanished, and the bank took it all: his house, his truck, his family. His wife walked out with their 2 kids years ago. Now he slept under the overhang of an abandoned studio a block away, his stomach a gnawing pit of need. Inside the shop, Maggie Tillman wiped the counter, her sharp eyes catching Travis through the smudged glass. At 50, she had a smoker's rasp and a soft spot she couldn't shake. "Damn shame," she muttered, shaking her head. She'd slipped him biscuits or leftover pie before, but today he looked bad, gaunt, eyes sunken. "Travis," she hollered, leaning out the door. "Get over here and warm up." He glanced over, voice rough as gravel. "Ain't got cash, Maggie." She waved a hand. "Don't care. Move it." But Travis's gaze drifted to Clint. He knew that face. Those movies had been his escape when life still made sense. $1. Just $1 for a burger to quiet the hunger clawing at him. His boots scraped the pavement as he crossed the street, each step heavy, like he was wading through mud. He'd begged before, but never from a man like this. Could he even look him in the eye? Maggie watched, breath held. "Oh, Lord, he's going for it," she whispered. Up close, Clint's calm hit like a wall. Travis stopped short, hands trembling. "Sir," he croaked, barely audible, "can you spare $1?" Clint set his coffee down slow, real slow, and tipped his head up, peering over those sunglasses. His eyes locked on Travis, piercing, unreadable, stripping away the dirt and defeat. Silence stretched, thick as Tennessee humidity. Maggie called out, softer now. "He's good people, mister. Just hit hard times." Clint didn't look her way. He kept staring at Travis, a faint smile tugging at his lips. $1, huh?" he said, voice low and gritty, like it could cut glass. Travis nodded, throat tight. "Just $1." Clint leaned back, crossing one leg over the other. "Tell you what, son," he said, pausing, letting it hang. "Sit down. Let's talk." Travis blinked, stunned. "You serious?" Clint's smile sharpened. "Dead serious." "Sit." Legs shaky, Travis sank onto the bench, the wood creaking under him. He set the sign at his feet, hiding the words. Maggie grinned from the doorway. "Well, I'll be damned." Clint took a slow sip of coffee, watching him. "I don't mean to bother you," Travis stammered, hands twisting. "I know who you are." Clint raised an eyebrow. "Do you? What's your name, kid?" "Travis Boone," he said, voice cracking. Clint nodded, letting it settle. "All right, Travis Boone," he said, leaning forward. "You want $1. Why?" The question hit hard. "Ain't eaten since yesterday," Travis admitted, staring at his boots. Clint's jaw twitched. "And then what?" He pressed, voice dropping low. Travis froze, no answer ready, but Clint's stare burned, promising this was just the beginning. Travis Boone sat rigid on the bench, his cracked boots planted hard against the Nashville sidewalk. Music Row's faint buzz swirling around him. Clint Eastwood's question, "And then what?" echoed in his head, sharp as a knife. Clint leaned back, one arm slung over the bench, his coffee cooling in his grip. Those eyes, keen and unyielding, pinned Travis like a spotlight he couldn't escape. The cardboard sign at his feet scraped the pavement as he shifted, a tattered flag of his downfall. "I don't know," Travis muttered, voice barely a whisper. "Survive, I guess." Clint tilted his head, slow and deliberate. "Survive," he repeated, the word hanging heavy. "That's all you got." Travis's fists clenched, nails biting into his palms. He wanted to snap. Clint didn't understand the hunger, the cold, the endless nothing, but the words choked him. Clint sipped his coffee, calm as stone. "Tell me your story, son," he said, voice low and steady. "I'm all ears." Travis swallowed, chest tight. "Was a contractor," he rasped, staring at his hands. "Built homes out past Hendersonville, cedar frames, big porches. Had a crew, steady work, a family." His voice cracked raw. "Recession hit hard. Jobs vanished. Lost the house, truck, wife took the kids 4 years ago." He paused, shame burning. "Sleeping rough now, wherever I can." Clint didn't blink, just listened, face unreadable. Down the street, Roy Carver plucked a gravelly tune on his guitar, gray ponytail swaying. He squinted at them. "Eastwood with that guy," he mumbled, fingers stalling. Travis pressed on, words tumbling out. "Tried everything, construction, warehouses, even flipping burgers. Nobody wants me. My girl's 12. Haven't seen her since she was 8. His eyes stung, but he blinked it back. "So yeah, $1. That's what's left." Clint set his mug down, the clink sharp in the quiet. "Hell of a fall," he said, tone even but deep. "You staying down there?" Travis's head snapped up, anger flaring. "What's that mean?" Clint leaned in, elbows on his knees. "Means you're still breathing," he said, voice dropping low. "You ever think of quitting?" Travis's jaw locked, breath short. "Fight," he spat, voice cracking. "I fought till I broke." Clint didn't flinch. "Then why ain't you dead?" He pressed, relentless. Travis froze, the words a gut punch. No answer, just a ragged breath, loud in the stillness. Roy stepped closer, guitar slung low. "What's he stirring up?" he called, gruff but curious. Maggie poked out of the pick-and porch, apron twisted in her hands. "Travis, you okay, hon?" she yelled, worry creasing her face. Travis barely heard, lost in Clint's stare. "I don't know." He choked, voice breaking. Clint eased back slightly. "I played tough guys," he said, softer now. "Cowboys, cops, all had stories. Good, bad, ugly. What matters is what's next." "What's yours, kid?" Travis's chest heaved. "Don't know," he admitted raw. Roy grinned, strumming a low chord. "This I gotta see," he muttered. Clint's eyes narrowed. "Figure out," he said, firm. "Where you're wasting my time." The challenge hung there, daring Travis to move or shatter. The late afternoon sun dipped low over Nashville, casting long shadows across Music Row as Travis Boone sat frozen on the bench, Clint Eastwood's words, "figure out," burning in his ears. The air crackled with tension, the faint strum of Roy Carver's guitar fading into the background. Clint leaned back, his coffee now cold, his steady gaze unrelenting. Travis's chest heaved, his fists still clenched, the weight of his confession, years of loss, shame, and hunger, hanging between them like a storm ready to break. "I can't figure it out," Travis snapped, his voice rising, jagged with desperation. "You don't get it, man. I'm done. There's nothing left." His hand shook as he jabbed a finger at Clint, defiance warring with despair. Clint didn't blink, just watched him, calm as the Cumberland River a few blocks away. "Nothing left? Huh," he said, voice low and cutting. "Then how you sitting here yelling at me?" Travis's breath hitched, his anger stumbling over the truth in those words. He opened his mouth, but no sound came, just a choked growl. Roy Carver stepped closer, his boots scuffing the pavement, guitar slung over his shoulder. "Boy's got some fire," he chuckled, squinting at Clint. "You gonna douse it or fan it?" "Eastwood." Maggie burst out of the pick-and porch, apron flapping, her voice sharp. "Travis, don't you lose it now." He's trying to help, but Travis barely heard them, his eyes locked on Clint, who reached into his jacket, slow and deliberate. Travis tensed, expecting $1, a brush off, but Clint pulled out a worn business card instead, sliding it across the bench. "Go here," Clint said, his tone firm, final. Buddy of mine runs it, a shelter downtown. They'll clean you up, get you work. But you gotta show up. Travis stared at the card, the name and address blurring in his vision. His hands trembled as he snatched it. Then, without warning, he crushed it in his fist and flung it to the ground. Work? He roared, jumping to his feet. I've been looking for work for years. You think some shelter's gonna fix this? I'm done, man, done. His voice broke, raw and wild, echoing down the street. Clint didn't move, just watched the card hit the pavement, his jaw tightening for a split second. Roy lunged forward, snatching it up. Hey, fool, he barked, waving it at Travis. You don't toss a lifeline like that. Maggie rushed over, grabbing Travis's arm. Listen to me, hon, she pleaded, her grip fierce. This ain't just anybody, it's Clint freaking Eastwood. Take the damn card. Travis yanked free, chest heaving, his eyes blazing with fury and pain. You don't know me, he shouted at her, then spun to Clint. And you don't know shit about my life. Clint stood then, slow and steady, towering over Travis despite his age. The street went quiet. Even Roy's chatter stopped. I grew up dirt poor in the Depression, lost like you. Took a shot someone gave me, Clint said, his voice a low rumble, each word deliberate. He stepped closer, close enough that Travis could see the lines etched deep in his face. That's why I'm here, and you're still standing there screaming. Travis's breath caught, his rage faltering under Clint's stare. The words hit hard, cracking something inside him, memories of his own dad, a man who'd worked till his hands bled, telling him to keep going. He shook his head, voice dropping to a whisper. I can't do it again. Clint's eyes softened, just a flicker, but his tone stayed steel. Can't, he said, leaning in. Or won't? Travis flinched, the question a slap he couldn't dodge. Roy held up the crumpled card, stepping between them. Take it, man, he said, gruff but earnest. In every day a legend throws you a rope. Maggie nodded, tears in her eyes. You're worth it, Travis. You hear me? Travis stared at the card in Roy's hand, then at Clint, whose calm held a quiet challenge. Up to you, Clint said, voice steady. Walk away, or write the next damn chapter. He turned, heading toward the river, leaving Travis trembling on the edge of a choice. Roy pressed the card into Travis's hand, his grip rough. Don't be stupid, kid, he muttered. Maggie squeezed his shoulder. You got this. Travis clutched the card, his heart pounding, Clint's words echoing louder than the Nashville wind. Pushing him, pulling him, daring him to fight or fall. Night fell over Nashville, the neon glow of Broadway flickering like a heartbeat against the darkening sky. Travis Boone trudged down a side street, the crumpled business card clenched in his fist, its edges digging into his palm. Clint Eastwood's words, walk away or write the next damn chapter, rang in his head, a relentless drumbeat he couldn't shake. The Cumberland River murmured in the distance, its slow churn a stark contrast to the chaos in his chest. He'd stormed off from Music Row, Roy's gruff plea and Maggie's teary encouragement chasing him into the shadows. His boots scuffed the cracked pavement, each step heavy with doubt. The card felt like a taunt, some shelter downtown, a chance he didn't believe in. Work, he muttered, bitter. Like it's that easy. He stopped under a flickering street lamp, its buzz loud in the quiet, and stared at the card. The ink was smudged, Hope House, 3rd Avenue, but it might as well have been a foreign language. His stomach growled, a hollow ache, and he kicked at a loose pebble, sending it skittering into the dark. What's the point? He growled to himself, voice thick. Ain't nothing left to fix. A soft hymn drifted from a small brick church up ahead, its stained glass windows glowing warm. Travis froze, the sound tugging at a memory. Sunday mornings with his kids, their small hands in his singing off-key. He shook his head, shoving it down, but his feet carried him closer. The door creaked open, and Pastor Jim Hayes, a wiry man in his 50s with kind eyes, stepped out, a tray of sandwiches in his hands. Evening, Jim called, voice gentle. You hungry, friend? Travis tensed, ready to bolt, but the smell of bread hit him hard. Yeah, he mumbled, stepping forward. Jim handed him a sandwich, studying him with a quiet knowing. Rough day? He asked, setting the tray on a bench. Travis tore into the food, swallowing fast. "Rough life," he said between bites, voice muffled. Jim nodded, unfazed. "Seen a lot of folks like you round here. Nashville's tough. Chews you up, spits you out." Travis's eyes flicked up, wary. "You don't know me." Jim smiled faintly. "Don't have to. I know that look, lost but still fighting." Travis stopped chewing, Clint's voice echoing again. "Why ain't you dead?" He wiped his mouth, hands shaking. "Some guy gave me this," he said, holding up the card. "Said it's a shot." Jim took it, squinting at the name. "Hope House. Good place. Helped my cousin get back on his feet. Job, roof, the works." Travis snorted, bitter. "Yeah, right. Been down that road. Ain't no fairy tale." Jim leaned in, voice firm. "Ain't no fairy tale, no. It's hard as hell, but it's real. You just gotta show up." The words landed heavy, stirring the spark Clint had lit. Travis stared at the sandwich, half eaten, then at the card Jim slid back into his hand. "What if I can't?" he whispered, voice cracking. Jim's eyes softened. "Then you're already gone, son. But you're here, talking to me, so I'd say you can." Travis's throat tightened, memories flooding back, his daughter's laugh, the pride of a finished porch. He clenched the card, torn between running and risking it all. Footsteps crunched behind him. Roy Carver, guitar on his back, a grin splitting his weathered face. "Knew you wouldn't chuck it," Roy said, nodding at the card. Travis glared, but Roy laughed. "Eastwood bet on you. Don't prove him wrong." Travis's jaw tightened. "He don't know shit," he muttered, but the fight in his voice wavered. Roy clapped his shoulder hard. "He knows enough to give you that. What are you going to do with it?" The question hung there, unanswered. Travis's gaze drifted to the river, its dark waters reflecting the city lights. He thought of Clint walking away, that calm certainty, and Jim's quiet faith, Roy's rough push. "I don't know," he said, voice low, but his fingers tightened on the card. Jim nodded. "Sleep on it, friend. Doors open tomorrow." Roy strummed a low chord. "Better show, kid, or I'll hunt you down myself." Travis didn't reply, just stood there, the night closing in, the card a lifeline he wasn't sure he'd grab, but couldn't let go. 6 months later, dawn broke over East Nashville, the Cumberland River glinting gold. Travis Boone stood on its bank, hands in a clean jacket, the air crisp with coffee and earth. At 48, he looked reborn, hair neat, eyes steady. Clint Eastwood's card, creased and faded, sat in his wallet, a lifeline he'd grabbed. Hope House had given him a start, bed, shower, a lumberyard job. Now, he rented a room above a barber shop, a small win. He pulled out a letter, Ellie's childish scrawl, "Dad, I miss you," hitting hard. He'd written her after his first paycheck, not expecting this. "Soon, kiddo," he whispered, voice thick, tucking it away. Footsteps crunched. Roy Carver, guitar slung low, grin wide. "Looking sharp, man," he teased. "Told you Eastwood saw something." Travis smirked. "You writing that song yet?" Roy laughed. "Done. The Dollar Man, killing it on Broadway." Maggie strode up, thermos in hand. "Coffee, black," she said, thrusting it at him. "Proud of ya, hon." Travis took it, warm against his palms. "Oh, you both," he said, soft. She waved it off. "You showed up. That's enough." He sipped, then said, "Wrote Clint. Told him I made it, thanked him." Maggie's eyes lit up. "He'll read it." Travis shrugged. "Hope so." Far off, Clint opened the letter. "Sir, you were right. Thank you." And tucked in a drawer, a quiet smile breaking through. Travis turned to Roy. "Helping at Hope House now, talking to guys like me." Roy nodded, serious. "Damn, that's real." Maggie's voice cracked. "Giving him hope like he gave you." Travis looked at the river, Clint's words. Write the next chapter, echoing. He'd learned one thing. Hope's worth passing on, he said to the wind. If this hit you like it, share it, keep hope going. The promise held, strong and true.